Hi there. We have Fatima Bahmal Abed, who's a renowned therapist and been working in this industry since past 15 years. She has done a wide range of healing modalities and has been working to help individuals and group break generational patterns and creating long-lasting transformations. I had watched Another Self and I was quite fascinated about this family constellation. So we'd like to know more about it and how it works.
It's interesting to know that, it's so nice to know that there's another self to explain a lot about it. But it is always fascination that, how on the field, how people feel, what they feel, and how they are transformed. So, family constellation, I stumbled upon quite early and has never left, because it felt like when I was introduced into it, it took time to understand. And when I did start transforming it earlier, I didn't understand, but then it transformed me so much that it felt like I am home. And I just felt just a relief, like, it just felt home. I can't have better explanation than saying I felt home. And it's like, it when a client comes for a therapy, and if I am doing it for myself, if I am a client, um I'm not just changing me, I'm changing the whole family system. I'm
Right.
changing everyone around me, all my loved ones, whether it is my partners, my parents, my children completely goes, everything changes for them. They don't have to work for their traumas or anything that has come from generations down the line.
Hmm.
And all the memories that we have about uh, sadness or the grief or traumas or anything that we have been carrying from generations, and we don't even have the knowledge about it, like 10 generations back. I don't know the story, but somewhere down the line, if it's still carried forward into us, and we are still carrying that weight or the sadness or the grief. Now, there are a lot of people who have sadness, but they don't understand where it is coming from. There's a grief which is there always with them, and they don't even understand that they have it, but they like very sad, and things like that. So when they come for a very different issue and something that is they're stuck with or things like that, and they work on it, and if the grief is a major part of it, or they have lost someone in the generations in a bad way or in a tragic way, and if the grief is still in the generation, that weight will be lifted not just from the client, but the client's siblings, the parents, the child, if they have child, everybody, and everybody will get transformed into it. That's why it's called a family constellation, and it's like everybody is interconnected, and everything happens because one is there for another, and
Yeah,
we are all connected to each other. So that is what more or less the family constellation is about.
that's pretty interesting. So, how is a family constellation different from other psychological therapies that we take?
So, family constellation, so other psychology therapy is when you go to the psychologist and all, it's more of the talking. Like, you talk, you come to a certain level, and then you go deeper. Every time you go deeper into
Yeah.
the level. So you talk about the emotions, you talk about the feelings and the thoughts. In the family constellation, it it not just talks about the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts, it also deals with the generations, or it deals with which is there in the family, which is unspoken, unseen, which is, it's under the rugs, which
Hmm.
nobody talks about. And we have been silently carrying those emotions within us. Sometimes when you keep on talking, we come to the point, but we have
Hmm.
to take so many steps to go to that process. We have
Hmm.
to have that courage to go for the next step. Your word happens, you have to go through that, but it becomes a little easier and smoother in a way, because as it is, it's a third party,
Yeah.
right? You're watching it, and then you realize something. There's like a eureka moment. You realize something, and it has never started. It didn't start with you. It
Hmm.
started long back, and when it comes your, then it becomes very easy for you to move on, right? So you acknowledge that, yeah, it's okay. I mean, it was their story, it was their destination. Now it is not required. There is no war anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I don't need to save myself from something which was there in those times.
Yeah.
It's
We
not
don't have it.
required, but I still feel that I need to protect. Where is this coming from? You don't have any explanation. But when you go through the generations, when you go through the family constellation, and you see, it just goes out of the system, you acknowledge it, and then moving forward from here and now becomes much more easier, lighter. To take that step, the next step becomes much more lighter, and it is easier for me to move on faster. And it's like one session, and a lot of things move on a lot of different levels, not just us. And you will see immediate effects with how, every family members are changing with
Hmm.
around you. And it's very fascinating to see that change also. You may or may not realize, because sometimes it is so smooth, it becomes comes in a way that, like, it's like your habit. And then you realize, oh my god, if I was the earlier me, I would have acted or reacted in this way, but I didn't. I did it in a very different way. you know so yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So I've also heard about shadow work. So is it similar to family constellation?
So shadow work, first of all, what is shadow? The shadow is basically something that you repress something, you suppress something which is in the culture, or it is in the society, or it comes in the family, or it's just where you are born. It could be in the city, or this is the, or wherever you stay, like in the community or
Hmm.
everything, or just in your intimate family. you know there could be a lot of layers of the shadow is basically something which is completely suppressed and uh, cut हो जाएगा ना, something which is completely suppressed, and you're not allowed to be what you are, right? So there are times when so I've done, like, when you do the shadow work just like that, there is a beautiful book um, by Debbie called Dark Side of the Light of the Shadow. And I need to recheck that. But there's a beautiful book on the shadow, and when you do, it's quite heavy. Like, it's really, really nice, but it's quite heavy to go through that process, because it's like it takes so much of courage within you to catch hold of your shadow, to deal with it, to walk on it. And then when I stumbled upon shadow constellation, it changed my life on a very different level. It was like, it was much more easier. It was like, it was right in front of you. You can catch hold of the shadow, you can work on it, you can embrace it, right? That's something as negative as possible can also be the positive that we have never looked at. That's
Hmm.
the different side of it, right? Something like, when you walk around, or when you see someone or hear about someone, and you get irritated, you get frustrated. But if you break down and then you realize that, something which that person is doing is actually what is disturbing you within you, right? We say that, you're pointing a finger
Hmm.
towards one person, but four fingers are towards you. The three, at
Hmm.
least three fingers are towards you, right?
Yeah.
So when you start reflecting on that thing, it's basically that it is there in within you, those parts, and you have rejected that part or suppressed that part, either completely doing it opposite of what that part is, or you are doing it unknowingly or
Hmm.
subconsciously. You're doing it. For example, like, when I look at someone and I see that, that person is being used, and I get angry at that, frustrated at that person,
Hmm.
you know that how can you be listening to all those people, and why you're not fighting for yourself. But then I realized, oh my god, I'm doing the same, and I'm very angry at myself about that part. But that's in my shadow. it's
Hmm.
it's there in my shadow. Either I am also being letting other people use me, or I am using I can be anything, or
Who's
I'm
using?
using the person, or I'm not, like, I'm always moved away from anything and everything to do with it. But in some part I would be also doing it, very unconsciously I would be doing it.
Hmm.
So then when you start working on yourself, you start embracing those paths, and as you embrace those paths, you start making your life bigger, expanding, living better. There's called something called golden shadow. Like, you see someone, admire that
Hmm.
person, that, wow, how can, like, someone do this, and you think he or she is doing such an amazing job, or how beautiful they are, or something like that. And then you reject that part of you, but you already have. That's why you admire it, because you have repressed or suppressed that part of you, locked it up in yourself, and has not allowed yourself to glow up.
Oh, that's something fascinating to know.
Fascinating. It's like, when I got to know, I was like, wow, what?
So, like, admiration could be a shadow too.
Yes, definitely. It could be. It's like, I'm like, oh wow, that girl is so beautiful. You're like, no, you when I'm admiring you, you're like, wow, you're so beautiful. But then I am suppressing myself of my beauty, right? So when I start embracing that, when I start doing that, I feel amazing. Like, I can be like that. I don't have to go through different things which I reject that part, but I can just simply embrace that part. I don't need to put down people, because if I don't like that part of you, like with beauty, when someone says beauty but they have an attitude,
Hmm.
they are very handsome but they have an attitude and ego. So I don't like the ego part, or the this part. But what if I embrace my beauty and my grace just without it? How beautiful can it be? No, it's
Totally.
totally, I will be in my power. And when I say I have power and potency, whoa, just like, yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, since we have these
What?
elements
Yeah.
placed here, so can you tell us, like, how do they work into the field of family constellation?
So when the family constellation is basically a group work, right? It's individual and the group work. So when there are there are so many strangers sitting around you, and if you are a client, people don't know your story. They don't need to know your story, right? And you want to work on something, and when they when we stand, you're watching sitting here, and they're representing a part of you on the field. So when we don't do a group work, instead of group, I use across the globe, people use kind of these kind of elements to represent and to give a visual to the constellation, to the field. The, on the field, when you start putting, like, if you say, like, if you select someone to represent your father, and if you say this is my father and he's standing here, someone to represent your mother and your mother is standing here, and someone to represent you who's standing here. Okay, I can just remove this, or we can keep it on the side. Yeah. So so when we're putting it up on the field like this, right? So if there is a group of people, the people would be representing and standing on the field saying, this is my, the person is
Hmm.
representing my father, or the person is representing my mother, and the person is representing me, for example, the simplest form of
Hmm.
the
So I'm
constellation.
just the one watching.
Yeah. And but you're, when it's just you and me
Hmm.
individually doing without any other people in around us. So just to give you the visuals, we put the father representing, so it
Hmm.
gives you a visual that the father is your, or is he sitting down, or the mother is
Hmm.
sleeping or standing, or things like that. And then we go on, like, how we start go for a play, natak.
Yeah.
And when the curtain opens up, you see people are already standing over there, right? In
Hmm.
the similar way, when you represent your constellation, and it is over here, it's already standing over there, and then we start the constellation, and then we work only on telling about each element, would tell about each person who represents, tells about how they are feeling in the body. It just goes from feeling. Nobody who's, no, I don't want to know anyone's story. Like, as a client, I will not ask you कि किसने क्या किया, like थप्पड़ मारा.
Hmm.
I don't want to know कि थप्पड़ मारा कि नहीं मारा, because it's not relevant right here. Like, I want to know only the facts of your life, rather than anything which has affected something, like, general
Hmm.
facts of the life, which is like, your, if a parent has is alive or dead, or was it a miscarriage or not. It's all very all facts of life,
Yeah.
right? Something like that. And then we go about from this, and each element expressing how they are feeling at that moment. Like, my eyes are closed, I can't see anything, and I'm feeling suffocated. And if, like, we ask the mother, and the mother says that I just want to rest, I don't want to see anything or do anything, for example, and the child is looking and begging both the parents about to look at the child, you know something like that. That's how it starts, and then it goes from there. And there is the healing statements which come in, or according to what is required over there. And then you move on to the healing part, and the whole journey you go through while you're sitting over there, you go through within your own body. You can see, it's so amazing to, and it's so fascinating to know that something which is going on, and sometimes you don't even have the words to describe what is going on within you,
Yeah.
that is depicted on the field, and so beautifully. Sometimes someone says certain words or statements, or someone sings, through, and you're like, how did you know that? Like, I've not shared with anyone, but it comes out on the field. Like, that is what it is going on within me, and my parts of it. So it's very beautiful healing journey from that state of mind to the healing, and to take the next step easier and move beyond.
Hmm.
It is very experiential, so it is more like if you experience on the field, it's only then I can explain much better. Like,
Yeah,
you need to
I get
experience
it.
that.
So it is
Yeah.
something we experience rather than just
Yeah, yeah,
describing.
definitely.
It's amazing how we can actually see what's happening and feel what that at that point of time people had been feeling.
Yes, yes.
And to get over it is also
Yeah. So
really
we shut
big.
down a lot of things, no, part of like when we love our parents. So something, it's also in our shadows, where in India, particularly country like India, we have been taught that our parents are God. So they are never wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah. And we never see it beyond that. I'm not saying they are wrong, but we don't see them as human,
yeah,
that they can also make mistakes, and it's okay to
to make
make
mistakes.
mistakes, and then in that process we kill ourselves to proving that we cannot be wrong. Mothers sacrifice themselves and put themselves on the last. Dads or the father figures have been slogging their lives to provide and to make the family perfect,
Yeah,
to secure them, to give them everything in their capacity. But then we lose the emotions in that process. We lose to be there for each other sometimes. And it's so fascinating to see that when we do this constellation work, it's right there. It was just one statement or something like that, which we wanted to hear from our parents, that just parents saying, how would it feel for you to hear your parents say, it's okay, I am here for you. It's okay if you fail, I am here for you. A lot of us think that it's ingrained in us कि ऐसे बोल दिया तो ये सक्सेस कभी नहीं होगा, सक्सेसफुल कभी नहीं होगी या
mm,
होगा. Something like very commonly we hear it um, in elders talking about it. But is it that the truth? No, because if a parent tells me that it's okay, I'll have that boost up. Probably right now it may feel like I'm just talking, but when you feel it in your body, and when you feel the support,
yeah,
you get that booster energy to move forward in your life.
just because you know you have someone, you have that
Exactly.
person.
Yes. And you feel like it's okay to fail and get up. You have the energy. You'll not be afraid of failure and stop your life. You may fail. I'm not saying you will never fail. You may fail, but you also have the support system to get up, move on, and grow bigger.
Yeah,
And it's so beautiful.
yeah, as a child maybe there are many times when we are looking for that support and we don't get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Because they also, it's not parents this thing fault also, because they also been in the same environment. They were also didn't have the facility to understand that part. But now, as we have all these tools, why not use it? Why not make it bigger? Why not open up for our children, for
Yeah,
our generations, coming generations, and at least for us, you know for us to free ourselves and live fully, and give that benefit, give the support system that we require to move on. And why to live in stuckness? Why to live with heaviness? When it goes away, that's the when you realize that, oh my God, what, it was so easy. Why did I wait for so long? Why did I wait for so long?
I think that is how the therapy works.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I have changed myself and I can see, like, from what I was to what I am, I definitely think that if I can do it, anyone can do it. And you have the tools, and you
Yeah,
have people. Like, it's such a nice thing to do.
when you have everything, why not?
Why not? Why not? And it's a support system. Like, you don't need to stop your therapies, you don't need to stop your medicines, you don't need to stop going to your psychologist. I'm not saying you should stop all those things. It's, you continue with that. You have this support system, take one experience and see what is happening.
Yeah.
And we are allowed to experience things, right? We experience, we grow.
So it was lovely talking to you, Fatima, and I hope we get to talk about a lot more of these things
Yeah,
ahead.
I hope to see more people opening up into this and experiencing this power, like, and have this to e- experience this and move on in their lives, make their lives bigger
Better.
and better, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.